Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Downward facing. Hare 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah. Yeah, it is very well.
High ceiling, Maharaj. We connected only one speaker. What? We connected only one speaker.
Only one.
We had connected two. Two kinds of.
Then we don't need to shout that much. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. It's a very wonderful thing to chant Hare Krishna in a large group. Then you really feel the vibration of the name going right through your body, right through your heart. And then you feel, I never want this to stop. I want to continue. Let's go ecstasy. You don't want it to end. You want it to continue. And you're not satisfied with anything else. You're only satisfied with chanting and hearing. Of course, you need something to other. Here is the proof, Maharaj. Two kardals broken. The thread. Thread because of the energy. Okay, so today you can hear very famous verse. It's the 9th chapter, 27th verse. If you repeat it. Yad karosi. Yad karosi. Yad asnas. Yad asnas. Yad shahosi. Yad shahosi. Dasiyat. Dasiyat. Yad tapasvasi. Yad tapasvasi. Kaunteya. Tat kurush. Tat kurusva. Lord Kunun. Mat arpanam. Yad karosi. Yad asnasi. Yad karosi. Yad tapasvasi. Whatever you do, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that. All kind of Kundi, as an offering to me. Purport by divine grace, and this is very important purport. Listen carefully. Thus, it is the duty of everyone to mold his or her life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for maintenance of his body, and soul together. And Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. Everyone has to eat something to live. Therefore, he should accept the remnants, foodstuff, offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious ritual or ceremony, ritualistic ceremony. Therefore, Krishna recommends, do it for me. This is called archana. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna said, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering Krishna consciousness movement. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process, which is not practical in the day. But if chanting the Hare Krishna mantra round on his feet, but if anyone practices meditating on Krishna 24 hours a day by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra round his feet, he is surely the greatest meditator and the greatest yogi, as substantiated on the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare. Priya, sit down, sit down. Like it, sit down. Come on, sit down. Hare Krishna, sit down, sit down. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Priya, this, the wife never listens to that. That's right, Priya. You get sit down again. Sit down, Priya. That's good girl, good girl, good girl, good. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. Sit down, Priya. Hare Krishna. Everybody say, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama. Very powerful. I would say, well, just, I think those three, thank you very much. Okay, so, Shiva Kaler Eham, Moksha Tikana Bandhan, Sanyaksha Yukta, Yukto Ma Upakate. This is 928. Right? We read first 927. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerity perform, do that, those kind of as an offering to me. And then the next word says, in this way, you will be free from bondage to work, and it's auspicious and inauspicious to go. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So if you memorize these two verses, that's all you need. Go back to God. Because the last line says, if you do this, then you will be liberated and come to me. So Krishna's revealing a secret here. It's an open secret. Most people are not interested in reading Bhagavad Gita. And when they read Bhagavad Gita, they don't pay attention that much. So if you just learn this one verse, 9th chapter, 28 verse. 9th chapter, 28 verse. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious result, with your mind fixed on me in the principle of renunciation You will be liberated and come to me. And Prabhupada writes, one who acts in Krishna consciousness under superior direction is called yukta. Technical term is yukta vairagya. This is further explained by Rupa Goswami and follows. Anasaktatya vichayan yaharaham upayam saha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya kucheta. Rupa Goswami said that as long as we are in this material world, we have to act. We cannot cease acting. Therefore, if functions are performed and the fruits are given to Krishna, then that is called Yukta Vairagya. Actually, situated in renunciation, such activity clear. Protectively clear the mirror of the mind, and as the actor gradually makes progress in spiritual realization, he becomes completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, at the end, he becomes liberated, and this liberation is also specified. By this liberation, he does not become one with the Brahma Jyoti, but rather enters into the planet of the Supreme Being. It is clearly mentioned here. One utters the sea. He comes to me, back home, back to God. There are 5 different stages of liberation, and here it is specified that the devotee who has always lived love lifetime here under the direction of the Supreme Lord, as stated, has evolved to the point where he can, after quitting this body, go back to Godhead and engage directly in the association of the Supreme Lord. Well, there it is, one paragraph that has all the secret knowledge needed to go back to Krishna. 9th chapter, 28th verse, in the first paragraph. So, you don't have to read the whole Bhagavad Gita. All you have to do is understand a few verses of the Bhagavad Gita, and you got the gist of the whole thing. And this is one of the verses and short purport. Actually, the purport is a lot longer. I only read the first paragraph, but that paragraph is so powerful that it's giving us the inside confidential information, how we can go back to Godhead very easily. We should take it seriously. Why do we want to stay in the material world? The material world is called Martya Loka. That stands for a place of misery, suffering, and death. Why should we stay in a place like that? When the way to be free from that is easy from this state. Just Hare Krishna, and Hare Krishna, take prasadam, and regularly associate with devotees performing devotion to them. That's it. Just 3 simple things. Chant Hare Krishna, have only prasadam, and associate with devotees who are always engaged in devotion to them. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Are there any questions? Any questions? Anybody want to ask a question? Ask a question? No,
Maharaj,
I always ask him. You so connect the chat with whatever it is. Yeah. Yes, so what is it?
in this verse, Krishna is saying that
Speak up.
to fix the mind on him. And in another verse, Krishna says that mind, he himself is a mind. in another chapter.
Okay,
So how do we understand?
you understand? Everything you have has come from Krishna. Your body, your mind, everything. So therefore, if you use your mind in Krishna's service, then you're properly using it. If you use it for sense gratification, you've deviated from the Lord and its sinful. So that's why if you are Krishna conscious, you're always connected to Krishna, and that is your natural situation in life. And it will lead to you being liberated from cycle of birth and death. That answers your question. Read it again.
In this way, you will be free.
Speak louder.
In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me.
Repeat phrase it with your mind fixed on me. Right? So if we can fix our mind on Krishna, now what's the easiest way to fix the mind on Krishna? Is chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. How do you mind this? That's why it's recommended that we chant 16 good rounds a day. But 15 is the minimum. We could actually chant much more than that if you want to. Just as long as we keep our mind focused on Krishna. So if you chant Hare Krishna, your mind's fixed on Krishna. If you engage in devotional service to Krishna, your mind is fixed on Krishna. If you associate with devotees and go on Sankirtan, your mind is fixed on Krishna. So it's not that you have to chant only Hare Krishna all day. You can chant Hare Krishna, you can also do devotional service, and so forth. That way, your mind is fixed on Krishna 24 hours a day. You can go to sleep early so you can wake up early. That means your mind is fixed on Krishna. Because you make a decision to go to sleep early so that you can wake up early and chant Hare Krishna. So 24 hours a day, your mind will be fixed on Krishna. As long as you make Krishna the main purpose. So some people make baseball the main purpose of it. They have some radio or something. When they're working, the radio is on, or the internet is on. They're listening to the football game or the baseball game, right? So, and they're doing that almost 24 hours a day. So if they can do that 24 hours a day, we can also fix our mind on Krishna 24 hours. They prove it. They're not listening to Krishna, but they're listening to football, baseball, and so forth. So it's not difficult to keep your mind focused 24 hours a day on Krishna. So you say, well, what about when I sleep? Well, if you go to sleep early so you can wake up early to chant Hare Krishna, that means the time that you're sleeping, you're still focused on Krishna. If you want to wake up early to chant Hare Krishna. So it's not difficult to chant 24 hours a day. What is difficult is to forget Krishna 24 hours a day. Now that is problematic. Why? Because you get into all types of problems by forgetting Krishna. But if you're always remembering Krishna, you won't have any problems. So let's say someone wants to commit sinful activities. Krishna helps them to do that. How does he help them? He helps them forget Krishna. So Krishna says that he gives knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So a person who wants to commit sin has to forget Krishna. But they cannot forget Krishna without Krishna's help. So it all depends on what you're desiring. If you're desiring genuinely, always be Krishna. Krishna will help you. If you want to forget Krishna so you can engage in simple activity, Krishna will help. You have to be careful what you want. That's why it's good to regularly hear Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we do not forget Krishna and forget all about spiritual life. It's easy to forget about spiritual life because to avoid hearing and chanting about Krishna. You forget Krishna and you engage in simple activity, not even knowing that that simple activity is simple. You can ask a lot of people, do you think eating meat is simple? They'll say no. The Bible doesn't say that. A lot of things the Bible doesn't say, they're actually simple. So we're lucky if you come in contact with Krishna consciousness, you get the whole gamut of truth. If you become a Christian, there's a lot of truth in Christianity, but they haven't figured out yet what it should be. That means there's a hiatus. It's a hole in their philosophy. They think also that animals don't have a soul. Right, that's how they can kill animals and eat them. That's another hole in your philosophy. But we don't have that soul. You know that the chicken has a soul. The chicken, just like us, if you get a knife and point it at the chicken, what does it do? Start running away. And some big guy gets a knife and points it at you. What would you do? You would run away like the chicken, right? There's no difference between a chicken and us. Therefore, by the way, if you scare someone, that's actually sinful. For example, a lot of kids are going to get scared. Halloween. And all those simple things, all those scary things that they do, that's actually sinful. Halloween is basically it's glorification of dead people, right? You get these Halloween costumes like looking at a skeleton. Skeleton is a dead person, right? So the whole festival of Halloween is glorifying death, just like the so the man, they have the celebration of the dead. The Spanish people, Mexican, right?
Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Like Halloween.
After.
What? Day after what? Day after Halloween. See, they come together.
Yeah, this was actually inspired by a myth.
Why would anyone want to celebrate the Day of the Dead? We should celebrate the liberation of the dead. You can liberate people by chanting Hare Krishna. You can liberate trees, you can liberate cows, you can liberate ants, you can liberate the dead also. You can go to the cemetery and chant Hare Krishna. That's helping people who have died. They're learning many mysterious things in this world. But what is not mysterious is that the vibration of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra penetrates everything. We should have that faith. And if we chant Hare Krishna, it can completely purify a person if they are regularly hearing it and chanting. So we should never stop chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. When you eat prasad, it's always like this. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. If everyone does that, not everyone swallows at the same time. So there'll be Hare Krishna all the time while you're chanting, while you're in the prasadam. By the way, I'm not making that up. That's the way Vaishnavas would respect prasadam. They would always say Hare Krishna. Now, therefore, not everybody eats at the same second. So there was always Hare Krishna in the prasadam room. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Why? Because the more we hear the mantra Hare Krishna, the more we focus on Krishna. That should be the actual purpose of life, because that's practicing for the most important moment in our lives. What is the most important moment in our life? So if we practice always chanting Hare Krishna, then we can remember Hare Krishna and say it at the moment of death. If we don't practice all through our life, it'll be very difficult to remember Hare Krishna. Most likely we won't say it. Our mind will be confused, thinking so many other things. Because at the moment of death, and this is a fact, almost everything you've done in your life will flash through your mind in a very short period of time. And if most of the things you did in your life were nonsense, watching movies, reading comic books, talking nonsense, and so forth, that's what's going to flash on your mind at the moment of death. So it's very important that we have an integral, honest meditation on Krishna 24 hours a day. So before you go to sleep, you should say a prayer to Krishna. I need to take, please, my Lord, help me to wake up early so I can chant my rounds. That means 24 hours a day, Krishna. Yes. Before you go to sleep, you're praying, please let me wake up early, chant my rounds. So that means that you're thinking of Krishna 24 hours. So that should be our goal. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Let's repeat that again. Always remember. These are the two rules, two most important rules in spiritual life. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Then you become Krishna. That's it. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That should be our motto. We should have a flag. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That should be our flag. People say, what does that mean? Explain to them. Krishna is God. If you always remember God and never forget God, your life will be a success. Haribol. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Are there any questions anyone would like?
I asked ChatGPT for what questions we can ask.
Oh, good, that's good.
There's some very good questions actually.
Yeah.
So how can we, so I'll ask the first daily use, daily practical application.
Yeah.
How can we practically dedicate every action to God in today's world where work and life responsibilities often demand so much focus and energy?
Just chant Hare Krishna. So
Before.
you could be working and chanting Hare Krishna. Like
So that-
someone at
that-
work, they can, it's like someone at work, all the time, not all the time, but some people have a little radio and they're listening to sports while they're working. So instead of having a little radio listening to sports, we can be chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
While we're doing our work.
The next one is related to this is it necessary to feel devotion while dedicating
By the
action?
way,
ChatGPT.
was the answer that I gave the same as?
No, it doesn't give the answers. I just said like what questions can I ask?
Oh, what's that?
So the next one is it necessary to feel devotion while dedicating action? Or is the act of offering enough even if we don't feel strong emotion?
Listen, if you're gonna go to the trouble, to cook prasadam, first of all, take a shower, put on clean clothes, and then say your prayers, chant your rounds, and then cook for the deity. There's no question of being inattentive or not being fully immersed in feeling love for the Lord, because you're acting in very specific ways to please the Lord. You're bathing, putting on clean clothes, you're chanting Hare Krishna. Now, when you're cooking, you're conscious that you're cooking for the pleasure of the Lord. And then you offer the food with love and devotion to the Lord. Then he offers it back as prasadam. That's a very deep meditation. That's real meditation. So, but you're meditating not on making a lot of money. You're meditating on pleasing the Lord with very nice prasadam.
There's some more questions. What's the difference between dedicating all actions to God and living in a renounced state?
Well,
And how does this dedication affect spiritual growth compared to renunciation?
you see that's like a question where they're begging the answer. So read it again.
What's the difference between dedicating all actions to God and living in a renounced state? This is almost like devotion versus Mayavad philosophy.
Well, anyone who's always serving God is in a renounced state. They renounce all nonsense and they take up all good sense. So the question doesn't make sense.
I think
Question
in
is
so this is another one that might be interesting. So what are the signs that indicate one is truly offering their actions to God beyond just the intent?
Yeah, they are surrendered completely to God. In other words, 24 hours a day, they're engaged in service of the Lord. That means that whatever they offer is sincerely offered, because 24 hours a day they're engaged in service. What does it say?
Again, it only listed the question.
Okay. Questions, but no answers.
Because I asked for like, what questions can we ask the spiritual master? Again, 2 verses 27. And then how can we maintain humility and surrender while dedicating our actions, especially when we experience success or failure?
We give up our false ego. And then you can be genuinely humble and not get into arguments with people, and always be a well-wisher. That's the thing. And I'm going to give you a secret right now. In Kali Yuga, if you are always a well-wisher, even if you cannot perform that action, the simple fact that you're well-wishing, you get the full gamut of punya just by thinking. Right? So if we always only have thoughts of how to serve Krishna, and only have thoughts praying that other people are successful in their spiritual life and well-wishing all people, that type of mentality means that you are very close to being liberated, because you only have thoughts of what you would call well-wishing others. That's why Prabhupada you sign his letters, your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So he is actually an ever well-wisher. He has no bad thoughts for anyone, even his enemies. He has no bad thoughts. So we should learn to become ever well-wishers, like Prabhupada. If we develop that consciousness of always being a well-wisher, then we will not be attacked by ignorance or attacked by anger or jealousy or lust. All those things will go away by being a constant well-wisher of others. I often say, even with the materialistic people, instead of saying goodbye, I always say, well, God bless you. I hope you'll have a good day. They're a little bit surprised when I say that. Well, God bless you also. So, well, thank you very much. So we should always be a well-wisher. In that way, our mind becomes very peaceful because we don't have bad thoughts. We're well-wishing everyone. And we pray for their spiritual benefit, even our enemies. A lot of stories I could tell about that. I don't want to take too much time. Becoming a well-wisher is the culture of a devotee. Put it like that. Yes.
Here is another maybe useful question. It's kind of maybe rewording some of it, but is it possible to dedicate actions to God while pursuing personal goals like career success or family responsibilities without conflict?
Yeah, it is possible. If you're not envious. All right. Again, you're a well-wisher and you are working as an honest person, no lying, no cheating, and you're a well-wisher about others. That's the answer. What would say?
No, this is just a question for a conversation.
No, but what is the question?
Is it possible to dedicate actions to God while pursuing personal goals such as career success or family responsibilities without conflict?
If you're an honest person, yes. You have to have a principle of honor, not to lie or cheat and not to commit any sins. Then the answer is yes. If we commit sinful activities, the answer is no. And we know what are sinful activities. Okay? If we don't know, then we might commit sinful activities unknowingly. That's called ignorance. But if you regularly come to the temple and associate with devotees, you will learn very quickly what is sinful. Meat eating, gambling, sex, prostitution, lying, cheating. Very quickly you learn what is sinful and you avoid the sin if you want to be a devotee. If you don't want to be a devotee, then even though you hear all those things, you don't want to follow them. And that's to your own detriment.
How should we deal with the feelings of disappointment or frustration when things don't go as planned, despite dedicating our actions to God?
And that's a very good question. We should never be fearful of failure. Prabhupada was a failure for like almost 2 years when he came to the United States. He had no traction at all, but he didn't give up. And he always maintained his full faith in Krishna. Even before he came to the United States, the lady that gave him the ticket to come to the United States, Maharaj, right? He told him, don't go, you're too old. And if you go to New York, it's too cold. You will not be able to live. Yeah. She discouraged him from coming to the United States. But Prabhupada still came, thank God. And then she gave him a free ticket on her boat. But Prabhupada had to go through a lot of difficulty to establish Krishna consciousness. Like, for example, he was in that period about year and a half, 2 years, where he didn't have a fixed place to live. And at one point, he was living in the apartment of a druggie. And one night, the person who was living with took LSD and went crazy. He tried to stab Prabhupada and kill him. And Prabhupada ran away. And he knew only this one other devotee. He wasn't a devotee at that time, but a person that was coming to his lectures. That was Mukunda Das. And he knocked on the door of Mukunda Das late at night, but he had run away from the guy who was trying to kill him. And Mukunda and his wife, Janaki, they were in bed. And then his wife heard the knocking on the door. She said, "You stay here, I'll go see who it is." And once she opened the door, she saw Prabhupada. And he explained to her what situation he was in. And she said, "Well, I'm sorry, but we can't help you." He slammed the door on his face. Then when she came back to the bed, Mukunda said, "Who was that?" She said, "Oh, there's nobody." He said, "What do you mean it's nobody? Who was that?" "Oh, that's an old Swami." I said, "The Swami?" He said, "Yes." "Well, why did he knock on the door?" She said, "Because he said he didn't have anywhere to sleep." And he got out of bed right away, ran, opened the door, and Prabhupada was still standing there. And he said, "Please, Swami, can you please come in? I'm very sorry about what you're doing in your faith. You stay here tonight and we'll go somewhere else." That's what Prabhupada had to get to deal with from the beginning. So many situations like that. Very, very difficult thing. But he didn't give up. And he had full faith in Krishna. And look what happened. He was able to establish a wonderful movement that's still going on. And it's helped millions of people. He's printed so many books, hundreds and millions of books have been distributed, so many temples have been opened, so many people have become devotees, and it's still growing. This Prabhupada didn't give up. You should learn a lesson. Hare Krishna. Done?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll do the
Yeah.
Damodara.
We'll do Maharaj.
Which one is remove it from next page?